this going. Hi, Patrice. All right. I did have a good day. Thank you for asking. And I get to be here with all of you, which makes it even better. So, how was your day? I hope you had a great day as well. Hi, Trina. Good. I'm so glad. Hi, BT. Thanks for joining me. All right. I like when I'm on time. I made sure I started it today like I'm supposed to, on time. So, all right. It is Q&A Tuesday. This is the second live Q&A Tuesday I've done, so very excited about that. All right. So you can ask questions as I'm going through the show because I'm sort of going to be winging it this time. Again, I'm not working with a lot of questions, so you guys can feel free to ask whatever you like, and I will try to get to it. So don't mess with my head, guy. I know it's not Wednesday. It's Tuesday, okay? Can you please explain the CRC credentials, pros and cons? Are there jobs for a CRC coder? Okay, good. I like this. I can definitely answer this. But let's go ahead and start the show. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. And this is the #1 question and answer show about medical coding airing on Tuesday. So let us begin. Thank you all for being here. Prove it, because today's the 15th. Guy, that's how I know it is not Wednesday yet. Trust me, this week is going already fast, but you know, I need it to be Tuesday and not Wednesday yet. All right, so hi everybody. Hi Clara, thank you so much for joining me as well. All right, I guess I will go ahead and start off with Clara's question, which she said, can you please explain the CRC credentials, pros and cons? Are there jobs for a CRC coder? The odds of June, guy. All right, so a CRC is a Certified Risk Adjustment Coder, and that is a credential offered with the American Academy of Professional Coders. I will start off by saying this. I do not recommend this credential at all. This is extra money that you really don't need to spend, because when you look at these job listings for a risk adjustment coder, and I'll get into what it is in a minute, a risk adjustment coder, when you're looking at the job listings for that, they are not even asking a lot of times for the candidate to even be certified, which is scary because you need to understand diagnosis coding, right? Because that's all you're going to be doing is diagnosis coding. You can also do this with just a CPC, or if you had a CCS or a CCA or a CCSP, you could always do this. You do not need a CRC. Now, Certified Risk Adjustment Coder. Now, for risk adjustment, this is basically working with inpatient records. There is no evaluation and management to be done on this. There is no procedures. It is all diagnosis coding. Now, before you get excited, you have to understand the disease process. You have to understand diagnoses, and you have to know what all goes into a particular diagnosis code so that you are not selecting codes inappropriately or abstracting codes inappropriately. And by abstracting, I mean selecting, okay? That's what abstracting means in our world. When you are having to select codes and you're not basically auditing, because sometimes you're going to be auditing, you're essentially going to be looking at a list of codes that's already there, and you're going to check to make sure that those are correct, and if they're not, you're going to go based on the documentation. You know, if you need to query the provider or whatever have you, then you can be able to do that. But sometimes that is the case where we're just auditing and we're adding codes as appropriate or taking codes away as appropriate. But with risk adjustment, you're abstracting, or you're gathering, you're taking them out, you're looking at them, you're adding them to whatever you need to add them to. So it is a very straightforward field. It is very important because of the data that they collect, right? But it hinders a coder if they do it for too long. Okay, you want to do it long enough to just get experience, because sometimes it is easier to start with risk adjustment rather than just your standard medical coding position. But you don't want to stay there too long, because you won't get any practice with evaluation and management. You won't get any practice with procedural coding. So you want to make sure that you're spending your time there as appropriate, and then you're moving on. Okay, so don't get stuck there, because sometimes people will get stuck in certain positions. I've seen people get stuck in medical records. They started in medical records and they're still in medical records because they get stuck. And then that fear starts coming into play. They start getting afraid of branching out and actually going into coding. But you got certified for a reason, so you have to be able to use your certification, especially if you paid for it out of pocket. You want to make sure that you are utilizing your education to the fullest, because you'll never be able to grow if you don't. So let's see if I have any new questions in here, because a lot of comments just came through. I don't want to get behind on the comments. All right. Ask It says, hey, been lurking around in your channel for a while now. Can I get a billing job after medical billing and coding school without any experience in the medical field at all? Clara answered this question for me. Yes, you can. Marie says, any virtual classes for New Jersey for beginners? Can you share details? Training classes are offered by both. Oh, you guys are answering my questions for me. Justin says, training classes are offered by both AHIMA and AAPC. Hi, Dina. Dina says, hi, everyone. I'm stuck in the practice section of the nuclear medicine problems in the back of my PCS manual. Any tips? I'm going to put a pin in that one for just a minute. Justin says, I'm going to AHIMA's 13 course bundle in September. Marie says, I'm new to this and must learn how to bill for counseling services. Pika says, I don't plan on becoming a medical coder because I am going to have a baby soon and want to find a job when the baby is around 2 years. Do you recommend studying and passing the test now, or wait 2 to 3 years? That is entirely up to you. I can't, I'm not even going to touch that one. I'm not going to touch that one, because you could ideally go through it now, right? And if you're going to have a baby soon, you know, you've got a lot going on with your body as it is. And then if you go and you sit for your exam, and then what are you going to do when you pass your exam, right? You're just going to sit there with it. Typically, when you get it, I mean, you have to strike while the iron is hot, because what's going to happen is, if you are not staying on top of your studies, you're going to forget everything you learned. So in the 2 years that goes by, meanwhile, you still have to report continuing education units to pay for your certification. Depending on which association you're with, you still have to pay dues. If you are with AAPC, if you choose to take the CPC exam, right? And you take it, you pass it, AAPC requires you to be a member of their association, and they require that membership to be paid every year. So even though you're not working, you have 2 years worth of membership that you got to pay for. That's number one. The second part is you have to pay for continuing education units, and it is 36 continuing education units that you need to maintain your CPC. So you're going to have all of this expense that's just sitting there idling. Meanwhile, are you forgetting how to code? Because you can have your CPC for 2 years, but you'll have a CPCA. You haven't done anything to remove the A, which is the apprentice. And so basically you're going to start 2 years into the future and go from there. So it's entirely up to you. If you want to do it now, I would say that you would really kind of need to get on the ball rather than just sort of dropping the ball. If you want to wait, that's even better, I think, for you in your situation, because a baby is a lot of work, and you're going to have to do a lot of focus on the baby before you go into your own career. Okay. But you can always study medical terminology, anatomy, and pathophysiology. You can always do that. So that's just my advice anyway. Let's see. Hi, Maria. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. What is the difference between AAPC and AHIMA? BT says the gap within not working will not help. I can assure you. Not trying to be negative. I did it to myself. Do something while the baby is little. Just don't just stop. I believe that's true. I really do. Because the thing is, mothers are some of the most strongest people. They have the strong strength to get through a lot of things, whatever they put their mind to. And for some people, they have a baby and then they're back at work, in 3 months when they have their maternity leave done, and they keep working. There was a lady that started with us, and she had just got her certification, and she was pregnant. She was very pregnant when she got to us. She was 6 months along. So she was only with us for about 3 more months, and then she was gone for 3 months because she was on maternity leave. But when her maternity leave was done, she went right back to work, and she's been a coder ever since then. So having a baby didn't stop, her, and she's still very hands-on. I know that sometimes for some new mothers, they want to be with their baby all the time. I get it. I mean, I totally understand. I don't have a baby, but I would understand why, babies are adorable. But that being said, like BT said, just don't stop, because when you do have a gap, I mean, it's understandable you're going to have a gap. Sometimes people have gaps for different reasons on their resume. I try to get the people to kind of focus on their skills rather than like there's this huge gap between, working and, having a baby and things like that. So, to me, that shouldn't count against people, but that's just me in my head, I guess. I don't think it should count because everybody has to have that time to be able to raise their family or take care of a loved one or whatever. I mean, what you did in your past doesn't matter. What's now is what matters. So, that's what I would say. Marie, what is the difference between AAPC and AHIMA? They are the two major medical coding association powerhouses. I would strongly recommend that you go to both websites, ahima.org and aapc.com, and check them both out. If you are wanting to get into medical coding and you want to get certified, you can go through either one of these. They are widely accepted everywhere. These are the ones that you want to be certified through because these are who employers are looking for, As far as like the difference between the two, I hate splitting hairs. I really do. That's why I always tell people to go to the website because it's much easier. So it's ahima.org or aapc.com. BT. All right. So that is what I have to say on that one. I hope that was helpful. But another thing I wanted to address was somebody made a comment earlier about that they're just wondering how they're supposed to learn this new language, which I always say medical coding is a different language. How are they supposed to learn this new language and absorb all this information? It seems like it's just too much and they don't know if they're going to be able to do it. Well, here's the thing. When you start speaking that negativity into your goals, right? I don't know. It seems like it's a lot. I don't know if I can do it. You're not speaking life into your goals. You have to be able to speak life into your goals. When you do that, somebody should tell you that, yes, it is a lot. Because think about it. We work in the medical field. We have to know what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. And so we have to learn medical terminology, anatomy, and pathophysiology. A lot of us do it. That's just part of what we do. And so many people want to run when they see something that's difficult. Oh, maybe it was a bad idea. Maybe I'll just go do medical assistant. Well, guess what? With a medical assistant, you still need to know anatomy, pathophysiology, medical terminology, pharmacology. You still have to know all that. So if you're looking at being in the medical field, get ready, because it's a lot of studying, you know, and if they're not telling you, if you're not expecting that, then you need to do a little bit more research, you know. Either you're in or you're out. When it comes down to brass knuckles, you got to be in or out. And you can't be ambivalent, and you can't be on the sidelines. Well, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. Make a decision. Make a decision, because if you don't, you're always going to be on the sideline wondering if you should or not. I can't tell you how many emails I get from people who tell me, you know, Blue, I've been on the fence for years. Get off the fence. And they're like, well, I watched your video and I decided I'm going to go ahead and do it. Whatever you have to do to decide whether you're going to do this or not, you know, go for it. You know, if you decide to go for it, then go all in and immerse yourself in that culture. But if you are going to sit there and just like, well, I don't know, and then so-and-so said this, and it's so hard to get a job. Yeah, it's hard. But any other profession too, you're going to be looking at, you may have a difficult time getting a job as well. So every profession has their quirks. Medical coding is just weird. It's weird in the fact that they all want you to have experience, but how are you supposed to get experience if no one will hire you like right away? Why aren't there those entry-level positions, right? Well, the thing is, a lot of times these employers don't want to have to train. And when you think about it, a lot of these schools are really fast. Some of these schools are like, oh, you can learn medical billing and coding in 16 weeks and you can be on your way to a brand new career. What a load of baloney. 16 weeks, really? That's not nearly enough time to prepare somebody for the real world. So now you have this individual who has their credential, but not enough knowledge just yet. And you're expecting an employer to say, okay, I'll go ahead and train you. I'm going to pay you all this money and I'm going to train you at the same time. There's not a lot of them that are willing to do that. This is why I say that when you come in and you're brand new, you have to bring your A game. This is how you can meet them halfway. You are still trained in what they need, which is a medical coder. You are fresh and new because you're up to date on the latest and greatest. If you've been doing your research, if you've been doing your studying, you're not just going to know how to pass the exam, because some people have complained to me, Blue, I felt like I was just taught how to pass the exam and now I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. It's going to take you as well. You know, whatever program you signed up for that you feel like they just trained you to pass the exam, they're giving you what you paid for. Okay? That's essentially what they're doing. Look, we met our end of the deal. We said we're going to help you pass this exam. Now you pass. The rest is up to you. Whether you understand it or not is not up to them. It's not their concern. They have your money. That's what they were concerned with. And so now they gave you what you paid for. So now it's up to you. You have this whole ball of knowledge, this brand new ball of knowledge. So what are you going to do with it? It's up to you to say, well, you know, okay, I don't quite understand what I'm doing, but that's okay, because I'm going to work on these workbooks that Blue always recommends. And I'm going to go to websites like justcoding.com, which has a free subscription, which will give me access to free coding quizzes so that I can practice more. I will do this because I am committed to learning, so I can at least kind of feel my way around. You know, there's lots of resources out there. You just have to research and you have to look. And so many times people, when they're asking me these questions about like specifics, right? Well, what are employers looking for? The first place you can look is the job listing. The job listing will tell you right in front of your face what the employers are looking for. Somebody that is strong in coding and diagnosis coding and procedure coding. And when you get your practice in and you keep going, you keep practicing, because it is possible to learn this on your own. I do have a video out that outlines the syllabus of studying independently if you didn't want to go through one of these online programs or whatever. So if you want to do that, after the show, I will update the video in the description box. Guys, check the description box. The description box is going to give you all of these information and the links for all the websites that I am mentioning. Plus, it's my contact information in there as well. so that way you guys can contact me if you don't want to leave a, I'm gonna sneeze again, guys. I'm so sorry. It was 100 degrees when I came home and it was dusty out there too. So, but anyway, so going on and looking at those things, right, you'll be able to have access to a lot of information, but it is going to take you doing your part. You know, I understand, like, hey, I have a question and I can't find the answer. You guys got to start looking for your resources before, because like simple basic questions like what is the difference between AHIMA and AAPC, going straight to the resource themselves, AHIMA and AAPC, that is going to clear up a lot of confusion for you. Hey Blue, what's on the CCS exam? Which, by the way, tomorrow is going to be a pre-recorded video, and I'm going to be talking about how to study for the CCS if you are interested in taking the CCS or the Certified Coding Specialist exam through the American Health Information Management Association, or AHIMA. I will be talking about that tomorrow. But people are asking me, hey Blue, what is on the CCS exam? The AHIMA website can tell you. You go straight to the AHIMA website, and they have all of the exams that they have, and they have all the domains broken down on what is covered on that test. So that is a very good place to start when you are seeking answers. You know, I don't mind answering questions, I really don't. But there's a lot of things that can be answered just by going to the associations themselves. I get a lot of AAPC questions, and I am not even affiliated with AAPC at all. But I always recommend, you know, going to their website because, you know, they're going to be able to answer you. And they have a wonderful customer service hotline. And not only that, when you go to their website, which I like their website, I will say that. When you go to their website, they have like just popping up in your face, oh, how can we help you? How can we help you? So there's people that are willing to answer you that work directly with them. So be sure to do that if you are interested in AAPC. Now, let me go back to these questions. Justin says, one question you might not get often is, does medical billing and coding help us secure better healthcare or help us to learn about how to navigate / pay for healthcare and insurance for ourselves? Very well thought out question. I like that. I'm going to put a pin in that one. I appreciate your candor, says Marie. Oh, you're welcome. Pika says, thank you. I'm currently working now as a record analyst for a hospital, but I want to go up and learn more, so deciding to become a coder, but I wasn't sure to do it now or later. Thank you. Justin, it's amazing how many people are ready to work in hospitals. I feel like you guys working already in healthcare are ahead of the game. Marie says, if you don't make a decision for yourself, your boss will make a decision for you. That's right. Justin, yeah, those shoddy schools that are part of the reason why they don't want to hire new coders. That's right. Because they release so many people who aren't trained. That's right. I work in a hospital, but IT management did anatomy and physiology more than 20 years ago. It's like riding a bike. It'll come back to you. Justin, that's why I'm choosing AHIMA. Marie, no degree or certifications. You can do anything you put your mind to. That is absolutely right. And Justin says, Marie, if all you need to know is how to do a few things, Blue does tutoring. That's true. I do. BT says, Pika, you are so welcome and enjoy being a mama. Wish you all the best. Oh, that's so nice. But I am open to tutoring, even if it is paid, I guess. That's what it means. So my husband is a counselor, and I need to learn how to bill insurance companies for his services. Oh, that's good. Do you get to use the books while in the actual field? Yes, you do. Alicia says, hello, Blue. Do you think of cancer registrar as a career choice? Yes. That is actually one I would recommend. If you are interested in doing oncology coding and you want to become a cancer registrar, that is a very good place to get into. That is actually a certification that I do recommend, because I have seen where they do require that. And it's a specialty. There's a specialty to it. And when you are in it and you understand oncology coding, when you're, understanding all that stuff, you know, it takes a very special person and to be able to look at all that stuff. So if that's what you want to do, then I do highly recommend that. Cancer registry comes after general coding. Yes. Yes, it does. If you're wanting to get into that, like I said, cancer registry is a little bit more elevated for what, you know, we do as coders, right? To understand oncology coding and to understand all of that side is a little bit more advanced. So that's why I say I do recommend, if you're going to go and you're going to get certified with anything else, cancer registry is one that I do recommend. I have learned so much in the last 20 minutes. Oh, I'm so glad. And Janet says, any advice for auditing, for an auditing position? I have my second interview tomorrow, actually, to doing some auditing. I am a CCS coder of 7 years. I am so nervous. Oh, you shouldn't be nervous. You should be excited. Oh, thank you. Thank you, BT. And they're real. Okay, just so everybody knows, they're real. When you are auditing, right, they're going to look at your details. That's what they're going to be looking for with everything on you, if that is your position in auditing. They're also probably going to ask you, what are some of your resources? What resources do you use? Do you use Coding Clinic? Do you use the Merck manual? Do you use different websites? And you can name specific websites. Like, I don't know if you're looking at a particular specialty to be doing auditing, but if you are, you know, I would be looking for like reputable resources that are for that particular specialty. But if it's just for random clinics and things like that, do not say a resource is Google. Yes, because it's too general. That is right. Google is too general, right? Because yes, you can get answers from Google. However, sometimes some of the information is not recent. So that's why you want to be careful when you say those kind of things. But point to things like the Coder Desk reference. There's the Coding Companion. The Coding Companion, if you guys don't know, Optum 360 Coding, which you all know that I love. And this is not an ad for Optum 360. But the Coding Companion is broken down by specialties, right? So it's a whole book, and it is the specialties broken down. It's got all of the procedures, and then it's got all of the corresponding diagnoses that go with those procedures. Not only that, it breaks down the RVUs. It also breaks down, like, in layman's terms, like what this procedure actually is and what it covers. So it is a very, very good book, especially for auditors, because again, you're going to be looking at details, and you're going to be having to educate as well. Part of being an auditor is to be an educator, right? Because when you're auditing and say you're auditing the other coders, they're going to have to learn from their mistakes. And if you're just saying this is wrong because I say it's wrong, then you're in the wrong. You have to literally be able to communicate this in a way that people are going to be receptive to receiving criticism. Because auditors, I don't want to scare you, but auditors get abused, because, and especially if they are not willing to listen to the coder. Because sometimes I've seen and I've been a part of very heated, spirited discussions with auditors, because sometimes auditors are so convinced that they are right and they don't want to be wrong. So when they have a coder that's actually correct and coming in with all their information and all of their resources, it's very difficult. So the conversation can get a little bit, like I said, spirited is a good way to put it. So when you do that, you know, you have to be very careful, because it does happen. Even me, I've gotten excited before too. And I've had a few spirited conversations myself, because the auditor dug their heels in and was like, no, I'm right, and that is incorrect. And I'm like, okay, but Coding Clinic says, and when Coding Clinic says, you know, this is what my reference is, and yours is just your interpretation. So there have been those moments where, you know, you have to bring somebody else in to kind of, you know, break it up. But if I've had good auditors and I've had really bad ones. But on the good auditors, what I can say about them is that they were willing to say, oh, you know what, you're right. You're right, actually. I didn't know that, because a good auditor is always willing to learn. And that is something you could say too, is that a good auditor is always willing to learn and always willing to work with the coder, okay? Not let the coder run over them, obviously, because if the coder sometimes gets a little loud, because sometimes people just get loud because they don't want to be wrong, but you still have to show them if they are truly incorrect. You have to show them, okay, this is why you were incorrect. It's not personal. That's another thing too. Auditors can sometimes be accused of taking things personally or being personal towards the coder. So you really have to kind of watch your P's and Q's there. And it's a very delicate balancing act. But you having 7 years of experience, that is plenty of experience to come on, because you have been audited countless times. So you know what a good auditor looks like, and you know what a bad auditor looks like. And you know, in those instances where you were marked wrong for something, and you know that had you been given a chance, or had you said it a certain way, that you possibly could have won back that argument. So it is about learning, and it is about that give and take. But that is something that you can say, is that you're prepared for that. Having 7 years of experience, you've experienced it, you know, and who better, right? Because a lot of times some of these people that are brand new and they've had a couple of years experience, I want to be an auditor. They want to do it because they want to tell people that they're wrong. And you can't do that. I think that there are some people that should not be auditors because I guess it's the power, it goes to their head, you know. And then some of the bad auditors that I've had that I didn't learn anything from, you know, it's like, really, you know, like, what is the point? And if you always have to call somebody else in because that person is just digging their heels in and not listening, you know, that's not good either, because the accuracy of that facility is going to rest on your shoulders as an auditor, because you are responsible for what gets marked wrong and what gets marked right, and you're responsible for that education of those coders, because not all coders know everything, right? And not all coders have the same knowledge base. Not all coders are going to have that same, you know, willingness to want to learn, right? And so when they don't have that, you know, that is something that, you know, you have to kind of work with too. So that is my my comment on that one. It's going to be random, newborns, OB, general surgery, internal medicine, I believe. Thanks so much. And Janet said, that is so funny. I work in the coding unit now, so everyone I will be working with have audited my stuff, and I am a coding clinic worshiper. There's so much really good information in there. And Janet says, it's cool. 7 years in the profession. Most people here dream of being coders. But we have become very close because we have many internal meetings, coders and auditors. Took a while, but we got there. She's going with AHIMA. My hospital had the amazing opportunity for us to train on the job and train us not only for the test, but for the job. That's awesome. That is so awesome. Yeah, that's cool. All right, that is amazing. And you have to know a little bit of everything when you are an auditor. So you are on the right track. Who did I tell I need to put a pin in their comment? I'm scrolling back. What was a comment I put a pin in? Who did I do that to? Oh, it was nuclear medicine problems in the back of the book. I'm going to address that on Patreon, Dana. I think that would be easier. I'll just do that on Patreon. And I did tell you, Justin, it was your question. You asked if it made us, hold on. where is it? If it makes us better at looking at our bills, or if it, okay, one question you may not get often is, does medical billing and coding help us to secure better health care, or help us learn about how to navigate pay for health care and insurance for ourselves? It's a byproduct, right? It's a byproduct of being a medical coder, because now you understand the documentation, okay? So you know when you go to your visit, right? Your doctor's office, and all of a sudden you see the EOB and you're looking at a level 4 and you're like, I know that wasn't a level 4 visit. Or they're trying to charge you a level 5 and you're like, yeah, no. I was just in and out really quick. There was no way. And then you can always call and ask, hey, can you look at this again, because I'm a medical coder and I know for a fact that this is not a level 5 visit. This is not a level 4 visit. So that does help, because, you know, knowing how to look and look at this documentation and read it and understand what's actually happening is so awesome, because having that little bit of inside information compared to people who don't, right? People just automatically think, you know, going to the doctor is expensive anyway. So if they see a huge bill, it's not so off to them. But for us as medical coders, when we see a huge bill, it's like, well, hold on. Let's look at this here. So we start auditing and start looking at, you know, what did the provider document, you know, what was ordered and what was justified for this type of level. And if it's not justifiable, then we can question, because you can always question your medical bills. You know, you can always ask for an audit to say, okay, hold on. I mean, this seems like a lot, you know, like I was there in the visit. I know you didn't ask me all these questions. I know you didn't do all this other stuff, you know, so what happened here? You know, was this a mistake? Was this just, you know, an error, or, you know, something like that? So yes, it does. And as far as like health insurance, I mean, there's plenty of, you know, employers that have really good health insurance for their coders. So, you know, it really all depends on, you know, where you are. But yes, it does make us more savvy, because, you know, now we know, you know, and being behind the scenes, oh, we know even better now. At least that's the way I look at it, you know. The first thing that I do sometimes when they're trying to do other things, or they're trying to run these additional tests or whatever, and I'll tell them right away, I said, look, I'm a medical coder. They go, oh, you are? And I'm like, yes, I'm a medical coder, so I understand everything that you're telling me. Oh, well, yeah. So yeah, trust me. And then by the time they know it, well, I do have a question if you don't mind. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then they'll ask me something about a procedure code or whatever, and I'll be able to tell them. I think because they try to test me too, to see like what do I know. And so when I do tell them, they're like, oh, okay, well, you know, now we know. Trust me, it has happened to me before, because, you know, having been diagnosed with adult onset asthma, trust me, I had to get smart, because when you start getting sick, like boom, 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 boom. There was one year I had bronchitis twice and pneumonia once. And so, and then that whole year, I just could not get my asthma under control. So you want to talk about scary, and having to be like on top of my medical bills and on top of like my doctor's visits and everything else, and trying to look at everything. Meanwhile, I've got, you know, steroid brain. I've got all of these things going on, because I was having literally steroids back to back to back, and just trying to get my asthma under control. And it was a very scary time. And so being your own health information advocate at that, you know, and keeping track of everything, it's a minefield, trust me. And then I think it was either a year after that or 2 years after that, I had my gallbladder removed. So yeah, it was quite an interesting time. It was an interesting few years, especially when, you know, I have never been an asthmatic before in my life. And so when I got diagnosed with asthma, it was just like, I think I was like 31. I may have been 31 or 32, somewhere around there. But yeah, it was not a good time. It was not a good time. It was not fun. It was very scary. But I learned to be my own advocate, and I learned to speak up, and I learned to ask questions, especially when I'm in the doctor's office, because when you are sitting there asking questions, then they know, okay, this person is right on with, you know, with that, they're very aware of what's happening. And I was very aware. I had to be, because again, you know, it's just me, and I had to advocate for myself. So, you know, I had to be the one to ask questions and get the answers and make sure that, you know, everything was gonna go right. But, you know, so let's see. Justin says, yeah, after my recent dental costs, I realized how important good health insurance and medical knowledge is. Yep. And Janet, I have asthma too. Yeah, see, so asthma sisters. Thank goodness my asthma is under control now. I have not had an asthma attack in 3 years. So I am very happy about that. Although I do get very scared, like when we had the really bad snowstorm back in February. Yeah, I was panicking because it's sub-zero temperatures outside. It's 50 something degrees in my house. And I'm like, if I go outside, I hope I don't trigger, because like literally there was ice everywhere and there was just no way. And I was just like, please don't let this trigger my asthma. Please don't let it trigger my asthma. I'm like praying the whole time, because it's very scary when you have asthma. It's nothing like when you can't breathe. It's horrible. Justin says, exactly the way our health system is, these medical bills are absolutely terrifying when coupled with whatever it is we're sick with. That's true. Karen says, thoughts on coming from Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance for 20 years and switching over to medical billing and coding. Would my insurance background help in getting a job with no prior coding experience? Just the fact that you've been with them for 20 years. Anybody would be lucky to have you, you know, to have that background knowledge already. You have to have a really good resume too. But yes, it does help. At least I think it would help. Christopher says, my first encounter with medical coding was in 1990. I found that the coder put the wrong code for what was actually a sinus infection. Oh my goodness. Justin says, I totally understand. What happened with me with my teeth has scared me and made me anxious, and I'm not sure I'm out from it. You know, there's a trauma that happens when you get sick or you have something happen with you, right? And you are putting your body into the hands of healthcare providers, and they're literally writing things on this sheet of paper or in this electronic health record, and some of it's not even going to make sense to you, and you're going to be like, this is what's going on with me in my body, and now I have to pay for this. You know, I have to pay for this service because, you know, I've got to stay healthy, and they've got to be able to fix this. But you're trusting them. You're trusting that they're going to put the correct codes. You're trusting them that they're going to care enough about your medical record. You are just a number to somebody. You are just a medical record number to a person, a faceless person that you don't even know. And you have to trust this person. So when you do that, there's a little bit of a vulnerability that happens, right? A lot of vulnerability actually that happens, because this person is seeing your entire medical history. They don't know you, and they're looking at your entire medical history, and they've got your history in the palm of their hands with just a few codes. With just a few codes and just a few things, right? That's what a medical coder does. So when you think about it, it's pretty incredible. I mean, I've seen some very sad instances on medical records, and I always think to myself, I'm going to make sure that this medical record is going to be coded appropriately, because this is a person. This is a person, and at the end of the day, they're going to get this bill because of me. So I'm going to make sure that this is right. And when I worked for a level 1 trauma hospital, doing, you know, same-day surgeries and things like that, working with that and seeing all those things and seeing people who are coming in with these horrible accidents and horrible things that happen to them, I made sure, because to me, There is nothing worse than somebody who's there to collect a check and go home and doesn't care. And is just going to put in whatever because a provider did it. And they are just too lazy to actually code it themselves. To me, I said, no, I will never be that way. I will never do that to somebody because I would want somebody to take care of my stuff. I'm just saying. So that's why I always tell people, you have to put your best foot forward. You have to really care and you have to want this. Medical coding is not going to just be given to you. And if it is given to you, it's going to be very easy. It's going to get very tedious and boring really quick. But if you're all in, it'll give you a challenge. It'll give you that good challenge that maybe you're looking for. But you just have to be ready for it. So, hi Brenda. Karma is real. That's very true, you know. But so with that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. But this has been Q&A Tuesday. And again, tomorrow I'm not going to be on, but I will have a pre-recorded video up and I will be talking about how to study for the CCS, which is the gold standard of medical coding credentials, because this credential says that you can code both inpatient and outpatient. And it is the advanced credential. That is why I say it is the gold standard of medical coding credentials. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you will like, subscribe, share this if it helped you, and I will see y'all on the next video. Bye.